Hello, everybody. I'm your boy Muffin Man, and I'm joined by the fabulous, the wonderful Dino Sir for the Reap Smite League Season 5 opener. Now, Dino Sir, how you feeling?
Uh, Pretty good. We got a late night game here.
Mhm.
Looking forward to some exciting Smite. Hopefully not too exciting. I do want to go to bed at a reasonable hour and want that heart rate racing.
Yeah, man, and I have to, I agree with you a little bit here, but I am still looking to see an exciting opener to, definitely the first game of our season. And speaking of the first game of our season, let's talk about these teams a little bit here. We got Imaginary Bishops lined up to face the AFKFarmers. Now, if you watch a little bit of Reap, you'll notice some of these names here. I'm looking at one in particular. I'm looking at Blizzado, who absolutely popped off in some of these finals matches during the SDL finals last season. And I'm excited to see how he goes into this season.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few. It looks like returning players. You have I know Vibe Legend
Mm-hmm.
returning here. I think he played. Oh gosh, what was that? What team saying? It's been so long. It feels like an eternity, right? But Vibe,
Yeah.
I know, was looking pretty good out there. Gunny Daddy, Nitro. I mean, all those guys are recognizable names. I'm excited. We
Mm-hmm.
have Shadow on the coaching the imaginary bishops, so that'll be exciting to see how his team does as well. We can always roast him if it doesn't go well.
Hey, man, and that's how it is, man.
That's how it is. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like AFKFarmers has a sub in the mid lane, so we'll see somebody new there. That's not normally. And that's always a challenge, Muffin,
Mhm.
as you know, when you have substitutes coming, you have to be able to adjust accordingly. And that's it's not always easy.
Mhm.
Sometimes, especially when it's just one sub, you can sort of make adjustments, especially, if your team's running kind of an average strategy, right? You can kind
Yeah.
of just fit that in there. And I think mid lane is really one of those roles that lends itself well to that because you're just looking to follow up, right? You're looking to get in there.
Mhm.
It's not like a frontliner where you're looking to initiate a battle, right? You're looking to start things off and make plays happen. You're just looking to be there, put out that damage, and make plays happen that way. So, I think that it's never ideal to have a sub, but mid lane's not too bad, right?
I happen to agree with you on all those points there, but there is still the communication barrier that could be an impact. So we'll really have to see if that becomes a struggle in this set. We're gonna have to pay attention a lot to this mid lane to see if maybe the jungle mid combo or the mid 3v3 isn't going as well as it should be because of this substitute here and maybe a communication barrier there. We'll just have to wait and see for that.
It sounds like we're gonna be cut into a break here. I'll be back with y'all in just a second.
All right, and after that short intermission, we are right back at it, and we're hopping straight into the picks and bans um of this matchup here. Dino coming out here seeing, how are you feeling? Personally, I'm seeing a frozen screen right now.
Yeah, me too. Me too. But sometimes life
I
do
can
be
hear.
like that.
Okay, I can hear
Uh,
some of these bands coming in. Oh, there we go.
you're
There we
moving.
go.
You're
It's
moving.
fixing.
We got
We're
movement.
moving. We're moving. All
Yeah,
right, we've got movement. It's fixed up.
we
So I'm
do.
seeing a Gilgamesh and
Yeah.
Morgan Le Fay band come in now.
Okay. I just got. Okay. Everything's. I think we're catching back up here. We're doing good.
Mhm,
Yeah. Gilgamesh, Tiamat, Morgan Le Fay, and now Odin. And I think. I think that these are pretty bog standard. Now, here's a
mhm,
shocker, right?
mhm.
Ho Yi? We're banning Ho Yi.
I mean, I you know, that's, I mean, obviously that's got to be a target ban here. I don't think Yi is in any kind of position to where he's getting meta banned right now. I don't think he's in a terrible spot, but to see him get meta banned, and as well as the Erlang Shen ban, um, that one is a little less surprising. Erlang Shen is strong, so if we were to see a strong Erlang Shen, I wouldn't be surprised if that was taken away.
Yeah. I
But
mean, Erlang has a very strong presence, right? I mean,
mhm,
he's very, very good early game. He sort of traditionally sort of to fall off late game, but he still does
mhm,
have a lot of utility in his ultimate. Being able to taunt,
mhm,
being able to pull that off in a team fight could be huge for you. So I understand their concern, but that does leave open some more meta pick options, and that you have to wonder, how those are going to play out. I mean, RDO's still on the table, Hell's still on the table, gods like that, and
mhm,
so have to see how they navigate around that. Maybe they just know that the other teams are not comfortable on those picks. That's always a
mhm.
possibility as well.
I mean, there's always a chance that we could even see, now that she's unbanned. Finally, we could see a Persephone come out.
Mm.
Um, so there's a lot of potential here for just really strong, really busted gods to come out on this matchup because those two bans.
Yeah, it's very hard currently to ban away every good mid laner because mid laners are just good, man. I mean, it's pretty hard to have a bad mid laner when you're sitting 4 levels up on the enemy support. And so I think that there's certainly a lot of options. Soul also is still a great pick,
Hmm.
especially if you want to pair that up with a Fafnir and that
Yeah,
just have like a complete objective shred kind of team composition. And so I think, you're eventually you're gonna have to let something go, right? But is it worth leaving on the table over this Ho Yi and this Erlang Shen? Well, I don't know. Time will tell, I guess.
yeah, and I mean, we haven't gotten an insane amount of insight here on these players, so maybe Blizzato has the most cracked Ho Yi that we've ever seen in our lives, and it just, if you give it to him, you're just trolling. Um,
True.
but I mean, unless that's the case, I don't really see the whole reason in the ban. But we're gonna go into the first pick here. We see Raijin.
Yeah. Raijin
Mm-hmm.
Raijin had an extremely strong showing at Worlds. I mean, Shinto made that god look. Who? Let's be fair. Raijin already looking very strong made him look just overly dominant. I mean, you think of that one team fight where Shinto
Mm-hmm.
did about 8,000 damage, and that's
Let
something you
the
certainly
hunt
want
begin. None will
on your
flee my
team.
grasp.
And now we got Persephone and Artemis. We talked about the Persephone earlier, Muffin. Just to touch on Artemis.
Mm-hmm.
Held as the best hunter currently, and she does do a lot of damage, but is a little vulnerable to the dive.
Mm-hmm. And interesting enough, we could be seeing Imaginary Bishop's carry and a Daze possibly counterpicking himself here into this Cupid matchup. I really don't like the Cupid pick here. I think with both Persephone and Artemis having good CC immune ultimates, that the Cupid pickup would not necessarily be the best choice here, and he is going to lock that in. So I disagree with that pick there, but if that's what he's comfortable on, that's what he's comfortable on.
I mean, Cupid still has a lot of good team fight
Mm-hmm.
potential, and if you think about the way that fights work out, Cupid might not necessarily be even fighting against this Persephone or an
Wisdom
Artemis, where
shall
you're going
be
to
my
want to use
shield.
that alt. I think that it's very early to lock in
Hmm.
a Cupid pick just because of that reason. You don't know, and you're now that the enemy team hasn't picked their frontliners, they can now pick around this Cupid pick.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing kind of goes for this Ares, and it looks like they really want those cripples, and I just I don't know if that's necessarily the play. Maybe they just prefer
Hmm.
that Ares. Ares looking very good right now. For those who aren't like on the up and up, the latest Smite.
Yeah.
I've even seen a build with him in War Flag that potentially might be pretty good. And I think we all know that War Flag not a great item right now. So that one piqued my interest. But I also see an old classic Athena returning for this one, and she was very very strong, big top pick early on in
Hmm.
season 8, and as that went on, it sort of waned off as people learned how to deal with that pick, but she can still be very effective.
I think what Athena provides is extremely strong and is personified much more at the current level of play we're at, and that
Mhm.
and what we're looking at. So I'm not surprised to see an Athena pick from imaginary bishops. I could be seeing a possible beads burner comp. That's what we could be looking at. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what they'll end up going with, and we'll have to see what kind of payoffs they want with that beats burn.
Yeah,
When those are down.
yeah, they definitely have a bees burning comp. And if you look at the team, right,
Mhm.
you get an Ares pull, you get the ultimate off right into a field to love and those Tycho
Mhm.
drones from Raijin, and that's nobody's living through that mess. So
Mhm.
they do definitely have a lot of potential there. And I say potential because I imagine AFK
Mhm.
Farmers looking to go with 5 beads strong on this one, because I certainly would be. And I think Osiris is a great pickup. Good CC ultimate, very strong right now in
Mhm.
the jungle, and pretty strong still in the solo lane as well. Even though we've been seeing more leniency towards guardians in the solo lane, I think Osiris can still kind of keep pace long enough to play there. And now we see the Sun Wukong hover.
I don't know how I feel about this Sun Wukong hover. It doesn't really seem to fit with what imaginary bishops look to be doing. But if he is very comfortable on it and is just trying to he's just trying to stall out the lane and wait it out, then Sun Wukong's a solid pick. But I would rather see him go with a Guardian solo if he's attempting to do something like that.
Yeah, I feel like a Guardian solo actually would have been a really, really great
Mhm.
pickup for them. Just because you have an Ares and his CC isn't exactly the greatest. The one thing
Mhm.
that Song Wukong will do is he can sort of push the enemy backline away from the fight. So if you're
Mhm.
looking to Ares chain somebody, you're more likely to be able to get a frontliner who might not be picking up that beads or might have already used them.
Mhm.
And so you can pull them in and then sort of focus out those frontliners. And while Wukong's just back there, being invincible
For
for as long
Camelot
as his ultimate exists, right? And
forevermore!
so
Mhm.
it's interesting. Is they also locked in Ao Kwang, and I think I now understand this team comp perfectly, Muffin. I don't know about you, but I've put the pieces together on this one, and yeah, they're looking to burn beads to let this Ao Kwang be able to do his thing, because the one thing that
Yep.
Ao Kwang is really bad at right now is getting beads. So you take away their ability to use those beads to get rid of that
Mhm.
purification. Now that Ao Kwang execute, whole lot easier to get value out of.
And it's a solid and great strategy to go with. I mean, Alquang when Alquang gets to do what Alquang wants to do, you don't win games against that. So it's he's kind of one of those gods. Like if you let a Bakasura go ham, you let an Alquang
Mhm.
go ham. Any of those really heavy auto attack junglers, they will just carry games. And well, that's another person we'll have to pay extra close attention to as the game goes on is Alquang.
Yeah. And we finally see the king return. King Arthur. Feel like it has been a while since we've seen King Arthur. And, Arthur ultimately is kind of one of those gods who's so good that he can survive every single meta. So I think that he's a solid pickup. I don't know particularly, you know, what he's going to do in this team comp. I think the one thing is that he can sort of separate the pack a little bit, cause a little
Mhm.
chaos in the backfield, so to speak, and maybe make some room for the Osiris to come in, or maybe even that Athena. Maybe they're looking to set up some taunt action going on in the front line. I think that there are some possibilities. It's just I feel like maybe this is just more of a comfort pick rather than a comp pick. Like, they don't really have a plan for this Arthur. They just like having the Arthur on their team.
Yeah, and I mean, King Arthur, like you said earlier, a lot of value, a lot of just there's always going to be a build for him, so there's never anything going wrong. And what do you think the biggest problem is going to be? What do you think the biggest problem for imaginary bishops going into this kind of, I guess I would say, overwhelmingly strong comp from AFK farmers?
Um, I mean, looking at it, I mean, they're just, if they get caught up in this sort of 1v1 game, right? They lose
Mhm,
out to their counterparts. Like all of the picks
mhm,
on AFK Farmers are more meta. They're stronger picks individually, right?
mhm,
And so Bishops is really going for this heavy team comp sort of play. And I think that if they don't get organized properly,
mhm,
if this Ares is having to use his ultimate constantly to not burn beads and just escape bad situations for the CC immunity, I think things like that can end up hurting them in the long run.
mhm,
And the other thing is that they're really looking to burn as many beads as possible to give Ao Kwang as much space and as much options to use his ultimate on. And so if you're only getting one beads from an Ares ultimate, I think that might be a bit of trouble. So I think that there's a bit of over reliance on this
mhm.
Ares in some ways. Obviously, you can still win if the Ares isn't popping
Yeah.
off, right? This comp, but I mean, and again, if you just like match these lane opponents against each
Mhm.
other, AFK Farmers has a way stronger draft.
Yeah. And a little bit something that's a little concerning to me is because of the amount of CC immune ultimates, I don't know if Ares alone will just be enough to burn these beads on our own. Ares is very strong at burning beads, but when your only other real beads burner is Cupid, you could be seeing yourself into a tricky situation. I guess Raijin could also burn some beads himself, but
Yeah, I
really they
mean,
could just yep.
yeah, I think you're pretty much holding your beads most of the time for this Ares ultimate or that Ao
Mm,
Kwang ult even. So yeah, I think it's a well thought out draft for sure, but it's highly execution based. You
mhm,
have to execute on this draft to make it work. Whereas you look at AFK farmers, and if one chain kind of breaks in the link, you can still keep going.
mhm. Yeah, with how many strong gods they have, of course, if your Persephone isn't picking up, the Artemis can pick up right where that left off, or the Athena or the Osiris, all that they can really just pick up and hold each other's hand throughout a lot of this game.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I think we'll see how that works. This level, it's always a bit of a toss up, right?
Hmm.
To what comes out the victor, and it really comes down to can you execute? Are you guys good enough to execute on what your
Hmm.
well thought out draft is? Or even if you're not, are you going to be able to outskill the other team anyways? Are you going to be able to out mechanic them? That's always a
Hmm.
possibility as well. And so that's what kind of makes these lower level matches so much fun to watch. You just don't know what you're getting ultimately. We could sit
Hmm.
here and speculate all day, but
Yeah, and I 100% agree with you on all this stuff. We're looking at we can speculate up here all day, but we come into the game and maybe Raijin's 15-0,
yeah,
by 14 minutes, and it's like, oh wow, they're falling apart at the seams, so there's always that strong possibility of I don't know, I wouldn't even say it's too rare that we could just see a pop off or anything like that. They could really just say team comps don't matter. You can't do anything about me.
yeah,
Um
but that's really just not. That's just boring to say. So nobody wants to hear us say that.
yeah. Hmm. All right. Well, it looks like we're having a little bit of a delay here, so we're going to cut it straight to a break here, and we'll be back with you with live reap action. And with that quick of a break, we are already back, getting ready to go straight into this game. The first game of the Reap Smite League Season 5 season. And it's the first SDL game as well. So we're going to hop straight into it. Looking at these starts, looking at the start of these builds, do you see anything out of the ordinary here?
Just taking a quick peek. I mean, besides the blue buff from Artemis, everything looks pretty standard. The Vamp Shroud Persephone is an interesting one. Maybe not horrible, but definitely interesting. And it's also very interesting to see both solo laners go back to good old Bluestone, looking to take some swings at each other here instead of the traditional fighter's mask option. So we'll see how that works out for them in the long run.
Yeah, and with both of them doing it, I wouldn't expect it to be too crazy. But it looks like Blizzado's already going to take a decent bit of poke. And so is End of Days. Both support's going to kind of get in there and try and show their stuff.
Yeah, and I think that amount of damage is really going to hinder them. It looked like they had a good opportunity to both hit level 2 there. Instead, they have to back off. And they missed that opportunity to sort of go in. Oh, they still got it a little bit. Yeah, no, Blizzado hit level 2, and I think that's about it. Now we're at 2s, and no one's going to get an early first blood. Double taunt, though, is kind of big.
Yeah, I agree with you. They're just kind of feeling each other out a little bit. Not super committing to anything, but definitely putting out some committal moves. We could definitely see some early kills here coming from this duo side of the map.
Yeah, it definitely could. I think still possible. I think so possible. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. They did, like I said, they missed that. Like generally in dueling, there's a good opportunity if you both hit level 2 and the enemy is still at level 1. Oh, there we go. Never mind.
There we go. Blizzado gonna pick up Thos Parker. Looks like he got a little too aggressive, a little too heated in there, and they just turn right on him.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good play, good opportunity recognition from AFKFarmers right there. But I was going to say, traditionally you get, once you hit level 2 and the enemy's at level 1, you could just dive in there. It doesn't even matter if there's minions in the way, you just basically get a free kill and duo lane. And traditionally, if that window is missed or they kind of tie you farm-wise, you have to wait a little bit. But AFKFarmers looking to play aggressive. I like it.
Yeah, and I always like aggressive playstyles here. They tend to work out really well and can really start to lead into crazy snowballs. So we'll have to see how that affects them coming in this game.
Yeah, it's all about capitalizing. What are you getting for that kill, right? This Nitro gonna take a bit of damage there from Yellow Jin, but he's an Arthur, so he'll probably be all right.
Most likely, but we'll have to keep an eye on that lane over there. As it looks like actually Yellow Jin's gonna get a nice little solo kill there on Nitro.
Okay, you know what? Just keep spiting me, guys. Keep spiting me. I say something and then you go and do the opposite. It's fine. Whatever. I'm not salty about it.
Something that interests me actually is King Arthur has opted to pick up a spiked gauntlet, and he's gonna look to upgrade that into a Soul Eater. Unless I'm a little bit behind the times, I'm not sure exactly how that's going to affect him in the same. But we're coming back right into it. They're gonna use their shell right there, just barely escaping out of that situation.
Yeah, close one. Shell definitely doing work though, and it's been a hot minute since we've seen Shell. The nerf pretty much put it right outside of the meta, but you can still get a lot of value out of it. It can still be a very, very good relic for you, and there you're seeing the value that it can provide to you, even still.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just because it's not always the best option does not mean it does not have a lot of situations or cases where it is the best option. Right there, I don't think Ares escapes with any other relic, so good on her to pick up the shell.
Yeah, good point. Right there, Muffin. And I think to touch back on your Arthur thing, that was sort of the build that came out right after they nerfed Glad Shield's healing, as you'd go into that Soul Eater, and that provides that sustain that you'll love to have on Arthur. You like to have a lot of sustain on him, so I don't hate it, especially if you're gonna go this Bluestone. Traditionally, you'd get Warrior's Axe, and that's got sustain built into it. And so now that you're going for the Bluestone, I think the Soul Eater is a pretty good pickup for him. Ooh.
We could see Ares in a little bit of trouble here, as Osiris is going to come in here, and they're definitely going to pick up that kill. Kwang is looking to come in here, but he is in a 3v1. Collapsed upon. Vibe Legion is chasing him down, but Kwang is going to go invisible. But Sir Gunnied is also on the chase. They decide to peel off to the red buff instead, though.
Interesting choice by Gunny there to not pull off. Maybe he's just worried about Raijin. But it seemed like they had a good opportunity to just surround Bandana Dave there and collapse, get a kill, and the red buff. Instead, they choose to get off. Yellowjin picking up another one. Taunt coming out from Athena.
Yeah, and just gotta get a little bit of poke here and there. Gotta remind Cupid you can't just walk up this far. I will. I am an Athena. Knock it off. But yeah, I mean, coming into this game, it's 2-2, and it's still very even going into it.
Muffin, something that really grabbed my attention. We were talking about that Arthur pickup out of nowhere. Oh, Bandana Dave now a little low.
Bandana Dave in some trouble here, but it looks like he will be able to escape out of there with his life.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, he should have been able to get out of there. He does. No, not too much danger for him ultimately. Just a little scary. Just a little scary. But our Sung Wukong, excuse me, opts to pick up a Glad Shield second item, and I don't like that pickup. I don't think that Glad Shield you're gonna get very much value picking that item up. Second, I mean, it's got 25 physical power, 40 protections, 200 health, 10 cooldown, so it looks pretty nice. But I feel like if you're looking to boxes Arthur, maybe even a breastplate rush would maybe be more beneficial to you, something along those lines. The Glad Shield pickup is a little weird for me, but I guess it's interesting. I can't exactly figure out. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff to it, right?
Yeah.
It's just I'm not sure it's the right stuff that you want early game.
Yeah, I agree with you here, and this is a build that I was very familiar with back in probably a year ago now. It was the Glad Shield Rush meta, but it's quite a ways away from that, so I'm a little interested in this pickup here, and we're gonna see a second red buff invade from AFKFarmers.
Yeah, Imaginary Bishop's gonna have to start get wards on that red buff. You don't want to lose too many. Not only are you going to miss out on that farm and that XP,
they're collapsing directly on top of this Athena. Athena's ultimate is going to go down, trying to pick up somebody there, but they are going to struggle indeed, and Athena is just going to get out of there.
Yeah, the ultimate does enough just to get his life out, but we talked about that earlier. As a gank comes in here, and Bandana Dave.
Gonna get Fields of Love coming down, and Artemis is very low. The Heart Bomb should pick up the kill, and they are going to get a nice little return kill on Blizzato from that kill he got earlier in the duo lane.
Yeah, really good gank. I like the play. I like the Fields of Love. They just trapped him, and they executed that very, very well. Found themselves a kill, and now they can kind of do what they want here in the duo lane.
I mean, 100% here. This is definitely going to give Cupid that pressure and that lead that Cupid needs to, or a pressure that an ADC, not just Cupid really, an ADC needs to start to really feel an impact early on in that game.
Yeah, and I think a thing or two about playing ADC, and especially in this meta, like having that bit of pressure helps so much. Being an ADC, it allows you to be able to invade. You can farm all the objectives. I was interested to see that they didn't go for the purple buff invade there, but I believe Athena had returned by that point, so it might have been a little difficult.
Purple invade, or even just a Draugr right there. There's so much farm in that duo lane to not take any of it is a little criminal.
Prime animal.
and AFKFarmers really got away with the steal there of only dying. It wasn't dying and getting a lot of farm taken.
Yeah, and those sort of like little mistakes, add up. Not taking advantage of kills can really cost you in the long run as the taunt comes out.
Taunt comes out. We're seeing Ares in a very tricky situation. She is extremely low. The shell's going to come out too. Her ultimate is going to come down, and she used everything she could to try and get out of that situation, but it was not enough, and she is going to be taken down.
Yeah, Because Ares, they're looking to put this Ares behind, make this Ares useless, and that is
Mm,
great recognition by AFK farmers because they know just how valuable this Ares is to what they're trying to
mm,
do as a team. We talked about that on the desk, and now they're just putting the Ares behind, making life difficult for this Ares to come online. And now Ares has to use all of his ultimates to get out instead of to
mm.
engage, and that is not what you want out of an Ares. So I think this is very, very good pick management from AFK Farmers. But Bandana Dave finding one on Nitro. Now they're
Yeah, it was
looking for
just
that blue buff invade.
a good little successful dive from there. Over there in the solo lane's going to come up with a nice little grab of farm, and maybe they could be looking at Fireside Scorpion or possibly something of the likes. It looks like they are going to end up doing it. Oh, never mind. Oh, there we go. They're going to end up doing it. But Vibe Legion coming in here, and End of Days is going to use his beads, and Fields of Love coming down here, and he's going to try and get anything, but his purple buff is not secured. Quite unfortunate, might I add.
Yeah, it was a weird play. I think End of Days sort of recognized that he might be able to box there. Didn't realize they didn't have a Bonda to kind of follow up on that Fields of Love, and
Mhm.
ultimate just kind of goes to waste there, and maybe a bit unlucky from the lad.
Yeah, and I have to agree with you there. I think he could have done a little bit more there. I think if the Fields of Love had come out a little earlier, he'd be sitting here nice and high with the purple buff. But unfortunately, that's not what happened, and he does not have his purple buff. But we're gonna see Blizzato taking advantage of a lot of that farm to come back into this lane. You know, is the first Draugr take of the game, I'm pretty sure, and he's gonna be farming up, waiting his time, and trying to make sure that that kill doesn't actually affect him at all.
Yeah, AFK Farmers looking much stronger right now on the objective game. And I think the imaginary bishops have got to get more focused on taking
Mhm.
these objectives on the map, taking this farm, instead of just looking for the kills.
Nitro looks to be in a little bit of trouble here. As Sun Wukong is going to go up into that ultimate, but Athena is there, and Ares is also there. Ares is in a lot of trouble here. Ares could be going down once again, but Vibe Legion a little too slow to catch up there. AFK Farmers looking to find something here, and they are going to pick up the kill onto the Ares here, and they're going to finish. They're going to go in trying to finish off this Sun Wukong here, but they're struggling to catch up. And Raijin is going to come in with a massive rotation and pick up the kill onto Vibe Legion and let Yellow Jin get out of there scot-free.
Absolutely massive rotation by Toxic Alpha there. I was just about to talk about how strong AFK Farmers look. If you look at that last team fight, right, they were sort of
Mhm.
grouped up all really, really tightly together. And,
Mhm.
Imaginary Bishops was kind of a little staggered a little bit. They weren't close enough to support each other. And they end up getting picked off
Mhm.
one by one as End of Days gets picked off here by that Athena Global Ultimate.
Yeah, and that's that impact that we were talking about earlier of that the ability of Athena to just be at any fight is not it's not something that you really expect. It's not something you play around. Even something that I myself can't even play around, as I'm known to famously absolutely get destroyed by rotations and
Mhm.
especially Athena rotations.
Yeah, Athena rotations. That's okay. I had my fair share of problems with Chernobog, I think,
Mhm.
a couple seasons ago in in the playoffs.
uh,
Unlucky, I guess you could say, but you live, you learn, you play some more
mm,
Smite. And I think looking at this Wukong build, it's starting to round out kind of nicely, getting that Genji's Guard. I'm seeing more Genji's Guard be picked up recently. I think that it's a very good item in
mm,
particular, considering the amount of magical characters, especially when you're dealing with like magical solos on top of
mm.
Guardians a lot of times. You can get a lot of extra value out of that item. I don't know if AFK Farmers really has the sort of team comp that you're looking for to get that kind of value
Mm.
out of it, but it's still a good item, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Ares is going to go down once again. He's just way too low to be there. And if AFK Farmers looks to collapse upon it like they are going to, kind of pick up this Gold Fury for free here but we see the Fields of Love come down, but Imaginary Bishops is not able to do anything, and Cupid looking to just offer himself up to Vibe Legion as he can't really do anything, but he is going to get the dash off and escape out of there. Now Dave in some trouble himself here, but the Taiko drums coming out here, but it looks like it is not going to be enough. to help Dave get out of there. Now he's also in some trouble. Yellowjin coming around, knocking him up, trying to help out Toxic Alpha get out of the situation, and he is going to let him escape and walk right on out of there himself and get his teammate out of danger.
Yeah, good rotation by Yellow. Boards. Pete's forced out of Toxic Alpha there. And again, once again, we kind of see that sort of tight grouping, tight formation, a lot of order, or in AFKFarmers movements and in their team fights, and Imaginary Bishops just kind of a little staggered, a little slow to the fight, a little bit, not quite in the right formations that you want to see them in, not in the good spacing that they need.
Yeah.
And I think that End of Days using Fields of Love to try to secure that Fury was hopeful at best. Notorious is the Fields of Love for being bad at securing objectives, but you use what you have right in your kit, and it's just it is what it is. Maybe it would have been better for End of Days just to back off there and have the team at that point realize that they really didn't have much chance of defending that Gold Fury, and just make sure that next time they have wards up and they're ready to go.
Well, I mean, like, Fields of Love, obviously not the best option. Sometimes you just throw it out there, but what that ended up leading to was, a strategy that never works, which is the 1v5, v1, v5, v1, v5 there. And it looks like Nitroglycerin is actually going to get out of the execute range, but he's still in a lot of trouble here. Yellowjin going to come in with the stun here in the Tiger form, and he's going to pick him up nicely. Vibe Legion going to come in, try and get something going, but it's not going to happen here as he's just going to back off away. But back to what we're... Yep, sorry.
Yeah, it looked like Nitro was just looking. You saw him kind of stop, turn around, and swing. And I'm like, what is he doing? He's got the free break. But he was just trying to bait them into the team fight for the Osiris to make the rotation. But Osiris just too far away, and it ends up paying the price on that one. So as you were, Muffin.
Yeah, coming back to that. Oh, wait, it looks like maybe I'm not able to, as they are looking to fight here. The Fields of Love is going to come down, but Artemis is going to be able to Tusky that away. And we're going to see a quick trade of autos here. Whoever hits more autos is the winner here. The minions coming in really helping out on today's here as they were able to body block the last few of those shots there and really help them win that team fight. Or that, sorry, not team fight, solo kill.
Yeah, unfortunately, Blazzato gets minion diffed there, and almost to his own fault, right? Because you have to know, you see that minion wave coming, and he just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing, thinking that, hoping for that
one more auto.
Yeah, they've opted for this rage build, and it looks like actually Wind Demon, which is a bit surprising. But with that rage, you're hoping to hit that lucky crit, and that would have just melted the Cupid. And we saw that they must have hit a few, because Cupid went from having 100 health to Artemis's 20 to all of a sudden being dead even. And you're like, oh, what's happening here? And then the minions come in and end up rescuing Cupid in the end. But I guess a little unlucky, but that's the game you play when you lock in the crit.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he couldn't get that one more crit or that one more auto that would have gotten him that kill. But you got to be mindful of the minions. The minions always play a massive factor, especially in an auto-based fight where a minion, it might not only be able to tank one auto, but one auto can be the difference between them. And we could see another fight coming down here, but the Heart Bomb is landed. And honestly, if I'm Cupid, I want to continue on that attack when that Heart Bomb's down. You're going to get in 3 autos when they're stunned there real quick. So I'm a little surprised he didn't try to continue that fight, but he also taking the safe option is not a bad choice either.
Yeah, I think he just had already used the dash to get out, and then he was too far away, couldn't get back in within range. Ends up backing off. But I mean, yeah, he definitely could have been more aggressive. Here we go. There's the aggression you're looking for, Muffin.
The aggression comes in, but it might be a little too late here. Is obviously, the ult for ult situation here, and he is not going to have what he needs to get out of this situation here. The dash is going to come down, but Vibe Legion still has the ability to catch up here, and it looks like Athena is going to do it for him as he's going to get right up in there, and they're going to secure the kill on End of Days.
Meanwhile, making the smart play, Imaginary Bishops now recognizing that everybody's in the left lane, they can maybe go for this Pyromancer. They're going to have to zone Arthur out. Luckily, doesn't get the last hit, and Imaginary Bishops does secure that. Then recognizing that Imaginary Bishops is right lane, AFKFarmers over here on the Oni Fury. I love the objective play for both teams here. Great recognition.
Yeah, and really that was just two teams in in an outsmarting each other match trying to figure out which team has the better objective play. But I think Imaginary or sorry, AFK Farmers ends up getting away with better there. They got a kill. They got the Oni Fury as well. So, that could lead them into other objectives here. We're getting into the 20-minute territory with an Artemis. So we could see a Fire Giant potentially come out here if a team fight is lost. So, there's a lot of potential here now with that Oni Fury to make plays.
Yeah, I think that we just have to look and go back and think
Mhm,
about warding that pit
mhm,
because obviously you can't make the call to get Pyro when you know that they're on the
mhm,
Oni Fury, and so I think that maybe they were just lacking the vision, or maybe they were really hoping to get away with one there.
mhm.
I'm not quite sure, but I'm a little
Yeah.
unlucky, I guess, and very smart by AFK Farmers though to recognize that they had a great opportunity there.
Mhm. And right there, what we just saw right there is the infamous match of four tanks all fighting each
Hmm.
other and accomplishing absolutely nothing there.
Hmm.
But it looks like AFK Farmers was trying to collapse there, and so Imaginary Bishop's making the right call to get out of there before anything turned too sour. But AFK Farmers is noticeably more set up for this fire. As I'm saying this, we could be seeing a 3v5 come out here, and Vibe Legion's going to get a double kill with his ultimate as Blizzato cleans up Bandana Dave. And there's a 3v4 there, and Imaginary Bishops is just not in the position here to really, do anything. Raijin isn't anywhere close. This'll, the only thing I could see going here is Raijin maybe stealing, but he might not even be able to get close to this with King Arthur trying to zone.
Yeah, Arthur could very well keep him out of things, and let's be honest, this is a Hail Mary play at best. Toxic Alpha, just he's trying to wiggle his way in, man. And AFK
Nitro's zoning
Farmers,
him at the
right.
speed buff, making sure he doesn't get anywhere close.
Yeah, well, they know that Cupid's in that left lane split pushing,
Mm,
so it's only that Raijin left, and you can kind of just push him all the way back, unless Toxic Alpha really
mm,
wants to make the sacrifice play. Because once he goes in, he's got to dash in,
mm,
then he's got to use the ultimate to secure the Fire
mm,
Giant, and then after that, he's dead anyways. Like, best case scenario, after
mm.
you dash in, you got the Fire Giant
Yeah,
steal, and then you die, and that is still low percent because the team can still drop the Fire Giant
yeah.
or most of them, and then yeah, it was hopeful, I
Mhm.
guess, and maybe it would have been better turning his attention elsewhere and looking for some farm on the map or some invades or something like that.
Something that might have gone a little unnoticed is how they reacted to that Cupid split push. They saw Cupid on the map, they immediately pinged it out. They
Hmm.
immediately then sent Osiris to go deal with it, and Osiris came back and Cupid didn't even get a tower.
Yeah,
So that was really good for them, but they're going straight into they're gonna drive this Raijin, and he's up in the air in the King Arthur fight, but he is still way too high for anyone to do any damage to him. And it looks like he is gonna be able to get out of here with the help of Yellow Jin and Theos Parker once again, really saving him.
yeah. Now Toxic is in prime picking position. He's very low on health.
Mm,
Gonna have to be very diligent in his positioning
mm.
and hope that he might be able to get some minions to heal off of here. So he goes for a stun, and there
Oh,
he is
but King
caught
Arthur
out.
is going to get a double stun here, and he is going to go down to the Athena there, and we get a three-man taunt here into a Persephone ultimate there. Really strong. Cupid not in a good position. He is going to get collapsed upon here, but the Fields of Love is going to come down, and they're going to do a little work. Nitro goes down. End of days somehow still alive in the middle of all that, but he is going to get taunted and go down, and they're going to run down this Phoenix, and Yellow Jin
Yeah.
is powerless to stop them.
I'm pretty sure they could finish here if that's what they wanted to. Two
Mhm.
tier towers still up though, so that Titan gonna be very tanky. But they can still make this play. Ares gonna be up as well, and now they are in danger territory as they try to fight Yellow Jin.
Yeah, but that Titan is at half health. It looks like they might be going for it, and instead they're going to back away and make the safe call. And that's still a really close one. Honestly, that could have gone either way. But it looks like Ares might just be getting caught out there. Exactly what you don't need in a situation like that when that Titan is at half health and they're really trying to go set up for stuff.
Yeah, normally that would probably be a little bit more punishing, but
Hmm.
Ares is level 12. And an
Hmm.
0 and 8 Ares who is level 12 only has a 30-second death timer. So not going to be too big of a deal by the time they take down these additional tier 2 towers. He will surely be back up to defend whatever it is that they choose to defend on. And they're definitely going to want to group up. You see Bandana Dave there kind of getting his farm while he can. But they're going to need to get wards on that Fire Giant. And they got to keep an eye on that middle lane. You never know. A backdoor play always an option. And you definitely don't want to lose to Winions.
Oh, I mean, 100%. Losing to Winions is the worst feeling in Smite. So always got to keep an eye out for that. And now that they've taken that, I think it was a Primal Fury there, they should just look to run down this right lane and get that tower down, look to Siege of Phoenix while those mid lane minions are pushing, and try and find an engage.
Yeah, by my calculations, they have about another 30 seconds to a minute left on that Fire Giant buff. So they can still make a good play, but they're also going to want to get set up and looking for picks now in the jungle.
Yeah, Nitro in an interesting position. He's chained out, but it looks like they're going to back off with the potential of a team behind him. So they're going to back off, farm up.
I think that this deficit that this Ares has is their biggest concern. 5 levels down from the Athena, and that, as an Ares especially, that makes life very, very difficult for you to do anything, because you can literally get blown up before your animation ends on your ultimate. I mean, that's how big these differences are. And so now you don't get the full value of the Ares. You have to kind of wait a little bit for like a little opportunity to sneak in there to pull something off like that. And makes life difficult. Bandana Dave way out of position here, and he might get punished.
He's in trouble. And the Athenaton is going to go down. Vibe Legion's going to look for something here, but they're just going to back off and take the tower. We see Theos Parker going in there, trying to get a ward on that Fire Giant, but that team is taking that tower there. So I don't know if he's in the proper position. Maybe King Arthur stakes him out. It looks like they're collapsing onto him, but he does get out of there in time, and that's got to be interesting, coming back around and seeing an Athena backing from right behind you.
Yeah, Ares, if Theos just is like 1 foot either direction, his back gets stopped dead. Perfect placement on that back. So good on there. Fire Giant is being pulled though.
Fire Giant's being pulled here, but we see this Fire Giant is going to go down here, and Imaginary Bishops is actually going to get the steal here. Yellow Jin in there all on his own, but he is a Wukong. He's going to be able to get in there, and he's going to pick up Vibe Legion 4v1ing there and still getting away with the kill as Nitroglycerin falls as he tried to do the same.
Yeah, Blizzato getting greedy there with that farm. If Imaginary Bishops was more aware, probably could have got the Artemis as well at the end. But that's a great turnaround from Imaginary Bishops. That's exactly the way you wanted to handle that Fire Giant situation. Just not enough zoning on AFKFarmers, and it's a very difficult job, but at some point you have to recognize that you have the level advantage, and then you just pull off a Fire Giant, and it's a bait, and then you go, you kill whoever you can, then you go back onto the Fire Giant taunt now coming out from Athena.
Yeah, and 100% I agree with you here, but it looks like they are going to get a kill pickup here and just kind of have to walk out of there. So Imaginary Bishops is not going to be able to get as much out of this Fire Giant as they really want to, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, unlucky. I mean, right now you're basically taking the Fire Giant so the enemy team doesn't have it, so you can let this Phoenix sort of regenerate. And they are going to take the they're going to finally get that tier 1 tower. Huge Persephone ult.
Bandana Dave in some trouble, but he is going to go invisible there, and Yellow Jin is also pretty low, but then he's going to come out with that ultimate and kind of zone some people out of the situation there. And he's going to split off from his team, make sure that they don't all collapse on him, but they're going for the team anyway. Cupid is a little too in there and going to get Athena taunted in a bad spot, but the Aegis might just be able to get him out of there. Vibe Legion trying to go in on him. They're going to pick up Yellow Jin and siege down these Phoenixes here, and they're not going to be able to do anything to stop them as they're too low to actually interact with them. Endoday's coming back around, but getting possibly zoned off a little bit. But actually, AFKFarmers might be in a tricky position here. A lot of them are going to get hit by that ultimate. We see Gunnied in a spot here where he doesn't want to be in. That Cupid Heart Bomb really did some work to him. Nitro coming back into this fight after it is already lost, and he's going to go down as well to it. A great defense from Imaginary Bishops here to only lose the Phoenix there.
Yeah, we saw Theos right there get the pole, and he brings in 2 for that Raijin to clean up, gets the kills. They find a 3rd pick, and now they're on the front foot once again. Sure, their Phoenix is down, but they can certainly pressure very, very hard here. They might even be able to sneak this Phoenix if they play their cards right. But it's going to be tricky, going to be a little tight, because they only got about 15 seconds to do so.
You know, and a fight like that is obviously going to be great for the Athena who is behind. I think she gained 2 or 3 levels off of that whole engagement there, so it's really going to help her. Sorry, I keep calling Ares a her. It's going to help him get right back into that, and try and do a little bit of work here.
Yeah. Yeah, Muffin, you're just a little confused with Ares the person over Ares the god in Smite. Shout out to Ares, everybody's favorite support, besides Rosie. Right, Rosie?
Fun little tidbit. She's actually a solo laner this season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. We've been seeing some interesting play come out of the solo laners here, and some interesting builds. I'm loving seeing Glad Shield so much because it's an item that nobody picks up, and I feel like it has a lot of value to it in its passive. And whenever the enemy god is below 60%, you're going to do 15 plus 25% of your protections. So that's just a lot of free damage to be doing. And it's not ideal on your solo laners. It almost seems like a great item as a jungler, but it's not quite good enough for a jungler. But if you can maybe get you have an Osiris, right? Your Osiris is engaging, taking down some health from the enemy, or your Athena does that. Well, now you're in prime position to start slapping people left and right, doing that extra damage. It adds up real quick, especially if you look at these very tanky builds that both solo laners have gone for.
Yeah, and something that interests me is I'm not 100%. You know, I'm no jungle expert here, but the Mannequin's Mace instead of the Mannequin's Hidden Blade is something that's interesting to me because I just think Mannequin's Hidden Blade is really cool, neat, and it does a lot of damage.
It is a neat item.
What it looks like as we go into it, Bandana Dave already caught out here. The rest of the team maybe not in the best position here, but Wheelie is going to be put in there. But I don't know if you want to be picking up that person. Persephone is coming in from the side there and is on the back line, but the rest of the team is having to retreat. Blizzado not in a good position. Gunnied is going to go down to end of days. Thos Parker looking to be on the chase, but he is all on his own, and the rest of the team is looking to collapse on him. Will his team be able to come back in time to do anything? Athena is going to go with that ultimate down on Blizzado here, but it is just barely going to get them all out of there. And it's just going to be a 2-for-1 trade there for Imaginary Bishops.
2-for-1 trade is huge now that the Fire Giant is up, and Imaginary Bishops finally making it to the objective on time. I love that they've made this adjustment and they are focusing on this. They will still need somebody to zone out. Not too many great stealing options on AFKFarmers, but they could always, you can always get that, you know, that one tiny hit, right?
Oh, maybe? Oh, it looks like Imaginary Bishops is going to secure it, but Cupid was tanking that whole time, so he cannot fight here. And we're going to have to see Thos Parker is going to go down. His Yellow Jin in some trouble as well. That ultimate is going to come out. He's going to have to try and juke him, and the shoes are on today as he's going to go in the complete opposite direction that everyone else went. But it looks like the team doesn't care. They're just going to go down, run down that Phoenix and try and maybe go for an end here as their solo laner is not going to be in any position to help them, but he will be back in time. Will they continue going on, or will they decide to go somewhere else? It looks like they're actually just going to run it down and see what they can do in a 3v4 situation. They change their mind and are going to go straight to that Phoenix as Nitro tries to zone them off.
Yeah, I like this call. Wait for that Persephone to get in there.
But it looks like this fight could be going down. End of Days is getting a little low, but they're not focusing down that Phoenix yet. It looks like they changed their mind and decided to do that down real quick. And Bandana Dave is going to get caught out there trying to fend them off of that Phoenix, but Cupid will stay alive for the foreseeable future. And it looks like they're just going to grab their farm, back off, try again some other time.
Just game. Just you got 5 people with fire. Well, you got 5 people, right?
Yeah.
The Titans down to half health. Surely you can finish there, right? I mean, I guess. Oh man, though, and I don't know. Now I'm looking at it. Oh, Ares, you got that Raijin ultimate both
Mm-hmm.
up. That's a little spooky, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I still think they could have finished there. A little bit more understandable that they didn't. But you got a Persephone ult. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm surprised that they don't go for the finish there. Instead, they back off.
Yeah, it is a little interesting, especially with that Titan at half health. They might have just been able to walk through him, but walking through a Raijin is difficult. Walking through a Cupid is difficult. So maybe it wouldn't have happened. And to be fair, to give credit to AFKFarmers, Imaginary Bishops is a very solid defense team, and are really able to. If you're running at Imaginary Bishops, it's really hard to get in there and accomplish what you want to do.
Yeah, they do have a good siege defense team, but I feel like AFK Farmers also has a good sieging team. You
Mhm.
see an unfortunate disconnect by nitroglycerin.
Yeah, quite unfortunate, but it is going to give both teams a little bit of a breather, assess the situation, and see what do we got to do from here. If I'm Imaginary Bishops, we've got to hold on tight. We've almost there. We've won quite a few fights. We're getting close to that point of the game where it doesn't matter how far pushed back you are. If you just run it down mid lane, you'll win. So we're getting closer and closer to that point in the game, and we're seeing them start to pull back and take a lot of these fights that they weren't winning in this early game.
Yeah, Fire Giant kind of on a long cooldown, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that for your sieging
Mm-hmm.
purposes, makes life a little bit more difficult for you. And
Mm-hmm.
at this point, the other team does have Fire Giant, but
Mm-hmm.
you do have two lanes that don't have a Phoenix, right? And so now you
Mm-hmm.
have Fire Minions. So I would imagine if you're AFK farmers, you're looking to push up those two lanes, then do a
Mm-hmm.
split push onto that Phoenix and try to draw as many people over that way. And if obviously they're going to have to send two people to handle each lane that has Fire Minions, and then
Mhm,
you go in on that Phoenix, you get that final Phoenix. By that time, Fire Giant's back up. You take the Fire Giant, win the game. Easy
mhm,
peasy, as you like. Or they make a really bad mistake, get a really good team fight, and then they can just finish. Then you have to take that third Phoenix
mhm,
as well. That's also on the table. Things get a little bit more difficult for Imaginary. You have the mid Phoenix
mhm,
as well as the dual lane Phoenix. And as Hazer would say, if you lose the game at that point, you're throwing. You have to throw to
mhm.
lose the game at that point.
Well,
And,
here's
and so
mm,
and so it's going to be very difficult. But you can cause the other team to slip up in these situations with a
mhm.
little pressure. Nerves get the best of you, and you find one good slip up, and you can capitalize on that. And that's what you're looking for, is something like that.
Here's what AFK farmers they need to do. They need to sit by that green buff, and they need to wait a second. All right, and then when they come, they're gonna have one person split push down on that right side Phoenix, and then when the team comes, because they think, oh, the rest of the team's coming. What they do is they then open the door, have someone jump over the wall, open the door. They all rush down the Titan. All right. They run down the Titan, and it's already a half health. There's not too
Mm-hmm.
much left. There's not too much left to chew there. So they just gotta get that Titan real fast before anyone even notices. In, out, clean, successful mission, an Ocean's 11 type win to the game.
I don't hate it, I guess.
Oh.
Sheesh. I like how I'm like, this is the smart, intelligent thing to do. You're like YOLO, YOLO.
I
You're
mean,
just
think about it. What could go wrong?
right, right, right. Yeah, no, it's certainly worth like worst case scenario, you lose a Smite match, right?
Hmm.
Best case scenario, you have the greatest heist story in Smite history to be told. So I mean, it just seems like it's worth it to me.
I mean, if thinking of it from a gambler's perspective, there's
Mhm.
nothing that could go wrong here.
Right.
And only profit, you know? So they've got really they've if they're listening here, they've got to go for it. So
Clearly, no other options
clearly,
on the table
there's
in that
I mean,
case.
there really isn't. If you want to win this game in style, that's how to do it.
Right, yeah. Winning the game in style worth more swag credit,
Hmm.
obviously. Street cred. More important than obviously coming out on top of the end of the season and winning the league or anything like that. That's silly.
Yeah, I happen to agree with exactly what you said there. People always talk about
Mhm.
the best moments in Reap. They don't talk about the winners
It's
in Reap nearly as much as they talk about the best moments.
I mean, you're not wrong.
So let's be one of the best
But I
moments
hate
so
that
that
you said
people
it.
actually
So
talk.
yeah, it's like that
Mhm,
sometimes. But yeah, I think that this
mhm,
is at this point it is their game to lose. So
mhm.
the one positive is I think Imaginary still has Fire Giant buff, or at
I
least some
think
remnants of
a
it.
few members of it still
Yeah,
have it. I would assume 3 out of 5 if
yeah. So Yellow Jin and Days, the carry and solo have it. So I mean, you do have a
Mhm,
carry with Fire Giant buff.
mhm.
That's always swanky, I guess.
And Yeldrin's another one of those players we've seen him doing constant work here. So him
Hmm.
having a fire giant buff is not is something you also have to be afraid of. As you can see on the if you look at that player damage chart, he is third in the game and second on his team as a solo laner at 35 minutes here. But it looks like Imaginary Bishops is not in a position here to defend, and we could be seeing this Titan go down here, but it is taking a little too long to go down. Wheelie is going to go down, but the Titan is just going to get its last little bit of health bar deleted off the face of the map. And I mean, that's just Imaginary Bishops being at the wrong place at the wrong time. They needed to be back by that Titan.
Yep. AFK catching their opponents just unawares and
Mhm,
capitalizing on that opportunity. Unlucky a bit, but I think you're right. I mean, at that point, you got two Phoenixes down, your Titans at half health. Leaving Fountain is just frankly not an option,
mhm,
and I think that they're rightly punished for it there. So unlucky for Imaginary. I think that they had a good a good
mhm.
performance though. I mean, they had moments that they looked really really
Yeah.
strong. The moments when they got that Ares into
Mhm,
Cupid and or into Raijin, those combos were working for them. I think that they worked. I think that this Ao Kwang pick
mhm,
needs to be completely rethought out. It wasn't working for me. Put Yeljin back on the Wukong. He looked
mhm,
absolutely fantastic on it though. I think that was a great pickup for them. Maybe not play King Arthur if you're AFK. I
mhm,
don't think that Nitro got the sort of value that they were looking for out of it. I mean, he still was a big tanky
mhm,
boy. You know, he still tanked a lot of damage for them, but I'm just
mhm,
wondering if maybe they could pick something that's more meta. Maybe that would work out better for them. Maybe
mhm.
go for those Guardian solo laners. You see, he went, unfortunately went 0-8. Although he definitely put in his fair share towards this victory.
I mean, there isn't anyone else in this game who zoned Toxic Alpha down
It's
to this
true.
speed buff. So, there is still there, they still did get some value out of it, but I do have to agree with you. The Ao Kwang didn't work as much. I would also like to see Ao Kwang play through Yellow Jin a lot more than he did. He
Hmm.
did gank him a few times, but I would really like to see the two of them going in and diving nitroglycerin because when they did do it, it was very effective and they were
Yeah.
playing through that side of the map, it was very effective. And so I would really like to see Dave come through, pick up that his solo laner is currently doing really well right now, and really attack through that side of the lane and just show a lot of presence over there.
Yeah, I think that they looked very, very strong when they were working
Mhm,
together, and you saw that they were moving towards getting objectives on that side, and they
mhm,
were making good stuff happen. So I think you're right. I think that might be a play that they can make or an adjustment they can make coming into game
um,
two.
yeah, and speaking of game two, we're gonna take a quick little break as we get set up for the next game. So we will see you when that is ready. All right, everybody, and welcome back. We are gonna get right into this game two picks and bans here, featuring my boy once again. He's back today. We got Dino Sir. How you feeling?
I'm feeling swell.
You feeling swell? That's good to
Feeling swell.
hear. That's good
Yeah.
to hear.
Yeah, it was a
Mm,
feeling swell after that first game. Fun game to watch, back and forth,
mm,
a lot of action, potential. I think up right into the end for any team to finish.
mm-hmm,
Obviously, once I got those Phoenixes down and they paused, we were kind of like, yeah, it's kind of over, but maybe not.
mm.
And then
Yeah.
they pulled a sneaky, and it was over.
Yeah, I mean, they just did a whole loop de loop around making them think that they were going to Gold Fury and instead um, just ending the game. And unfortunately for Bishops, wrong place at the wrong time, but they still did put up a solid defense. And had me thinking for a second. Maybe the game is not over, but it was over, and we're gonna see the same 4 bans from both these teams starting off.
I, for one, am shocked to see Gilgamesh, Morgan, Odin, and Tiamat banned. I can't.
Hmm I honestly,
Shocking.
when I think of ban phases, I don't think of those 4 gods at all. I think that those generally slip to, and maybe if they're really good at it, really good at one of those gods, slipping them into a phase 2 ban. But
Yeah, yeah, I mean,
realistically,
surely.
just like not allowing them in top 3 is kind of trolling. Um,
Well, we do see a slight adjustment. We see the Athena be banned out. Apparently, Bishop's
hmm
not a big fan of that Athena. I don't blame them.
hmm
I feel like AFK certainly got a lot of value out of that pick, not only with the taunt, but
hmm
also with that global ultimate. So not surprised that they took it away this
None will
time.
free my
And then
grasp.
Artemis is banned. Understandable, honestly.
hmm
This Artemis, I get it.
hmm 100%. Artemis is a very, obviously the strong, not obviously the strongest, but definitely one of, if not the strongest hunter in the game. And hunters right now are very strong. So banning them is not always is always a pretty good call.
Yeah, I think Artemis is like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, so it's like Artemis is number one. Or let
hmm
me get this again right. Artemis is number one, and then like the next pick is like down here at number two, right, and
hmm
then number
Yeah.
three. So it's like, yeah, I don't think that she's that good. I think that she's
hmm
a bit overvalued, to be honest with you. And
hmm
I love Artemis, as you know, Muffin. I play her
hmm
in every role, but you know, uh, it's understandable. I mean, Tusky is definitely a
hmm
big pain, especially if you're gonna pick somebody like Cupid, because you're just trading
Yeah.
ultimates at that point, right? Um, and so I do like this pickup from Imaginary Bishops. I like
hmm
that they went with the Persephone. Persephone, pretty busted right now. I'm not gonna lie. She's
Yes.
very good, very
Yes.
good. And I like that on the flip side, AFK Farmers did take this Osiris and the Hoi pickup. So
We're gonna be
clearly,
able to see it.
yeah, was a comfort. We'll see
Hmm.
if it hails up to the hype of the ban that we saw in game one. I don't think it will. Not that I don't think Blazzato won't do fantastic on this Hoi. It's just why would you? I don't know. I don't like banning Hoi. I'm sorry. It just
I
and,
man,
and
even as a Ho Yi one trick, it was never
yeah,
banned away from me. But that was probably because I was bad at the game, more so than.
I have 2 gods that I have diamonds on. One of them is Hoi. So let me tell you, yeah. On her now picked up. That's an interesting matchup.
Mhm.
Muffin, maybe you can enlighten me more on that 1v1 matchup between
Um,
Hoi and On her, because it seems like it'd just be like a trade out.
it is ever so, in my opinion, it's ever so slightly in on her's favor. There's just a few more tricks he has up his bag. He has a few more ways to deal with Hou Yi ultimate. His own ultimate being able to get rid of the slow or being able to jump away. But Hou Yi has some tricks where he can just jump over on her ult. But there's a few options where like maybe on her gets the 1-2 combo or just stuns him into a wall. Just hits the ability raw like that, and in those situations it gets really hard for Hou Yi to actually do anything. And most of the time will just die.
Okay.
But
What about the ricochet off the On her pillar? Could be big.
could be if you're not stunned. But 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 that matchup is ever so slightly in Honor's favor, but realistically, a matchup like that is just a skill matchup.
Right.
Um
I do like this adjustment that AFK Farmers has made. They went
mhm,
ahead and grabbed probably one of the most OP gods in the game right now, Ardio,
mhm,
and I love
mhm,
that pickup. I think Ardio right now does everything you want out of a solo laner, and it is understandable that I think she was picked it up in every game in the finals. So
mhm,
yeah, I'm excited to see what they're gonna do, what Nitro can do on this RDO pick.
mhm,
Um, is a little bit more meta. She's got more survivability. She's got healing for the team, and so that's very good. Speaking of healing for the team, here comes the Horus, the drop ship, if
mhm.
you will.
Now, unfortunately, we don't have a full AP Ymir mid lane yet.
Hmm.
So
Oh yeah, yeah,
maybe in that future ban phase we could see the nuclear bomb combo
yeah,
come out,
yeah.
but I don't think it's gonna happen. Instead, we're seeing possibly a Merlin. Merlin, one of my favorite mid laners. In fact, I got him diamond in a single day.
Mm-hmm.
So
Understandable. Very, very fun god to
mm,
play. He's got a lot of utility in his
mhm,
kit, you know. He doesn't exactly have the objective secure that you want, but he's
mhm,
got a lot of objective shred in that kit. And obviously with the vortex, you know, he can kind of suck everybody up into one centralized location,
mhm,
do a lot of damage that way. So, I mean, he's got a lot of good tools, and Merlin's just kind of like the porridge with sugar that Lucio
mhm,
likes so much. It's not anything fancy, but it'll do what you need it to do. More interesting in the picks and bans for me, even more so than this horse, is the Ganesha.
mhm,
And Ganesh right now is a highly volatile pick, more so than what you would even think of a Pele. Ganesh early game is just so difficult to overcome how weak it is. But if you can get past that early phase, late game he still pops online and he can be
mhm,
very, very good. And it's
mhm,
interesting. I kind of like that they did pick this Pele because it's almost the opposite, right? Pele
mhm,
super, super good early game, super good mid game, kind of falls off in that late game. So if you can use this Pele to put a lot
mhm,
of pressure in this dual lane, it'll buy some space for this Ganesh and this on her to sort of be able to make it to the late game for that Ganesh.
mhm.
So that's an interesting combination, I think.
I'd still like to see, you know, him run down that solo lane there, and just, you know, a Pele Sun Wukong just shoving it down that lane is just gonna be, it would be just terrifying. You know, so if he does that, well, you know, he'll see a lot of success for himself and his solo laner. But I could also definitely see a lot of potential in the duo lane here, as you know, there's a lot of kill potential on and on her. Not an insane amount of on a Ganesha, but it is still there. So we do have that to, you know, it is still solid lane to gank.
Yeah, and I think the one nice thing about Pele too is that
Mm,
she's got that speed buff in her kit. She can kind of move around the map pretty
mm,
well. So there's no reason that, you know, can't a little double dip a little bit there, you know, kind of put a little
mhm.
pressure in that solo lane. Meanwhile, making sure that you're putting enough pressure in that duo lane to kind of keep them afloat.
Um, you know, and I agree 100% with you. You know, that Pele is really going to be able to grasp a hold of that, a hold of that early game really well and really nicely, and see how that transitions into the game that we're getting directly into here. And we see they've already done their starts here, so we're gonna see them start to clear the wave. Looks like Imaginary Bishops does have a little bit of a start, but um they are gonna come right back and see Blizzato actually start with the level 2 advantage.
Yeah, and you just see sort of the weakness of having
Hmm.
that Ganesh. Clear is not as good. Definitely don't
Hmm.
have that lane preference. But interesting that both supports and the first wave at level 1, while it carries both make it to level 2.
Yeah, it is a little interesting here. It looks like Thos Parker is gonna end up missing a Ganesha dash there, and it could be costly, as they're going to start running it down, and he's gonna take a decent bit of damage, but they aren't gonna be able to get too much other than a lot. Well, I guess they did get quite a bit of poke on him there, and a nice little harpy invade. And it looks like he's gonna get a double bounce there. Was that a double or a triple bounce
Triple.
there?
It was a triple bounce.
And just absolutely
Yeah,
deleting the rest of this Ganesha's health.
that's a
Um
triple bounce. Doing the math
Oh
there.
my, dude.
Yeah,
That is
that was. Mm-hmm.
that was nice as
Okay.
ice right there.
That that was clean. That was clean. They get the
And
double.
yeah, and End of Days is gonna go down and use his beads. So this duo lane is in a very tricky spot, and all they wanted to do was contest a harpy there that they
Mm-hmm.
had no business contesting.
You know, Muffin, remember we were talking about ganking the solo lane? That's off.
Mhm.
Now, Pele,
Yeah.
you're living in this duo lane now. That
Mhm.
Ganesh is behind, Anher's behind, and that's gonna be very, very difficult to box into here.
Mhm.
Horus, little known fact about Horus, when Horus is ahead, he is an absolute monster to deal
Mm-hmm.
with. And so I think that this is going to be a problem. Luckily, though, they don't look like they lose on any levels. It's still
Nitro
three
in a little
apiece,
bit of
so that's good.
trouble here, but he is going to be able to use the bear stance to get away. So, but it looks like he is just going to take a little bit of poke here. It looks like he'll be fine. So, back to what you were what you were saying earlier. Um,
Yes, Muffin, very good.
mhm, I agree.
Very good. That's a
Hmm.
great point.
Yep.
You know, and I think the thing about that is
And really, what they do
uh,
about that is,
definitely, yeah,
mhm,
absolutely.
mhm, yep.
Couldn't agree more, Muffin.
Mhm,
Excellent
mhm.
points. Clearly a GM mind in the work from Muffin Man.
Uh, they call me the Midas touch.
No, that's what they call me.
Oh,
What
I
do you
forgot. I forgot. I
Oh,
forgot. My bad.
unlucky.
I thought we traded nicknames eventually.
Yeah, right. They're
Yeah.
gonna they're gonna start calling me the nursing home pretty soon, I think. Unlucky. But
uh,
I think things have actually gone surprisingly well. Good dash in
mhm.
there from the Ganesh. For
Yeah.
this dual lane, they're only about a level. This is a free kill if they go in on this. Yeah,
Mhm.
he's got a dash out. Unlucky. I was gonna say they managed to keep levels fairly well despite going down early. They're not getting completely crushed. Haven't seen as much of Pele on the map as I
Mhm.
would like, to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't really seen her around all that much. She did get a little bit behind in the early game because of a failed gank that had her backing, but she's still keeping in level. Still working around the map and trying to. I guess she's trying to find something. She's gonna go over to this dual lane and possibly make a rotation happen here. But ganking a Hou can always be scary here. Ganesha ultimate coming down. For some reason we see Wheelie gonna try and Horus ultimate out of there, but he is gonna go down off of that. But not before End of Days takes a lot of damage here. Blizzato is in a prime position to try and take a 2v1 if this on her decides to step up. Oh,
They're
never mind. He
just
doesn't have mana.
Just as I mentioned, I'd like to see more of the Pele. Shows
Mhm,
up to the lane. Here's Vibe Legend to sort of get the revenge kill in the opposite lane. And I think that was a great rotation by Pele. Great
mhm,
opportunity. They knew that they were on a clock with that ultimate. They had to
mhm.
get that off. And they do, and I think that that's a very good play. I mean, realistically, was Wheelie ever going to get out using that ultimate? Probably not. Pele very good at bursting people down,
Mhm.
but you gotta try. You gotta try,
Yeah, I
Muffin.
mean, I guess so, but I
You can do
I
just sit
I
there
would
and
like
die.
to I mean, you're gonna die anyway, might as well keep the ultimate for
Right.
something cool. It's a long
Mm,
cooldown, so,
that's
it
true.
is
It
a
is early
valuable
game.
resource,
Yeah.
but yeah, but,
Yeah. I'm interested to see how they optimize and how they use that ultimate late game and the team fights.
yeah, I agree 100%. Vibe Legion is gonna pick up a kill here, and he's gonna get the double here, off a quick 2-0, just snag, jump right in, get right out with two clean kills and all your health still. Toxic Alpha is in a bad position, as Sir Gunnied is gonna pick up the nice little Merlin infamous combo there, um, and get a nice little cleanup kill.
Yeah, we talked about that vortex. It can be a little tricky one, so you gotta
Hmm.
look out for that. And I think the one thing that's the trickiest about it is an absolute beads burner. And you can get some good panic beads and you can get some good actually good usage out of those beads as well.
Hmm.
And so you have to look at it. It's on such a short
Hmm.
cooldown timer. It's so big and it's so sort of almost deceptive
Hmm.
in like the range that it has. So I see it, the kill being picked up there. Smart move not to burn the beads. Obviously you were gonna die anyways,
Hmm.
right? Persephone not really chance to live, so she holds on to her beads there. I think that's ultimately
And
smart
5 is
plays.
going to go directly in there, but the ultimate isn't going to be enough to do it. But the 2 is going to clean up the kill. Meanwhile, Dave is sitting in his back camp, grabbing his farm, um, trying to get something out of this. But Thos Parker in a little bit of a bad situation, but he is just gonna kind of dash out of there and get out pretty clean.
Yeah, it's still tanky enough to maybe
Mhm.
to partake in some shenaniganery, as I like to call it. And just keeping the other team honest. And I
Hmm.
like that out of a support.
Yeah, I like that a lot too, but you can't try and keep him too honest, or you'll
Yeah.
end up getting into into
Oh,
very bad
eh,
situations. Is something
you, you
something
know
you
what
would
it
know
is.
quite well.
What are you talking about? I don't.
Uh-huh.
What do you?
Uh-huh.
I never died once as a support ever.
Ooh, Dave coming in here looking for a gank, but he might have already used his speed boost here. We'll have to see the Pele ultimate coming down, but Blizzato is going to come out with that ultimate there, and he's just going to fight as Pele is going to be at an extremely low health bar. But they are going to pick up the kill and get their second kill of the match.
Bandana Dave with the 8,000 IQ mathematics on that one. I thought for sure he was dead. Man barely makes it out alive. That's another good rotation from Dave
Ooh,
coming out of
and
the jungle.
Vibe Legion coming directly in here to clean up the kill on Yellow Jin. And what we said earlier about Imaginary Bishop should be running down that solo lane. We've seen AFKFarmers do the exact same thing, and Nitro's been using this Ardio pick extremely well himself.
Yeah, I like the adjustment. I like the way that it's playing out. And what can you say? It's RDO with Vamp Shroud. Pretty good pickup to have on your side for sure. And so look forward to see what that RDO pick does as the game evolves. Interesting to see the opt for the mystical male. And that's going to do a nice solid 50 damage every second in the game. And so, I think. Oh, they changed the way the scaling works on it. Excuse me. It's 30 plus
Mm,
1 per level. That's much better. I like that a lot better out of them. Good change. But I think that that's a good pickup for Ardio. You're kind of sitting in
mm.
there a lot of the time, and not
Yeah.
all your kit does damage, so
Ooh,
it's a good pickup.
a quite nice Ganesha ultimate coming out there, but there just is not a team there to follow up on it. We're going to see the Persephone ult come out as well, but it looks like nothing is really going to come of it as Merlin decides to sit on the side there. But he's going to keep going up a little aggressively. He's in that ice stance. He's looking for poke.
Yeah, maybe a little miscommunication there from imaginary bishops. I think
Mhm.
Ganesh uses his ultimate, finds all three of them, and you're waiting for that rotation, and they're backing up from the fight. Ganesh
Mhm.
has to leave, and it's just nobody's kind of quite in range to do any damage. Persephone kind of throws her ultimate out, and at that point, like there wasn't really much to gain from that ultimate. I would have preferred that she held on to it. So I'm thinking there might have been like a miscommunication going on, and just a
Ooh,
little
End
something
of
to fix.
Days is in there, but so is Wheelie. But Bandana Davis coming around and he's looking for something as well. We see a nice little double bounce coming in there. Could be in a very bad spot, and Hoi is gonna come in and he's gonna use that ultimate directly on top of that low health on her. Dave is gonna try and do something, but decides to walk into the Nine Suns for some reason, and then back right on out of there.
It was really interesting because I was thinking about like talking about the miscommunication that happened with AFK
Mm.
farmers. Horus just leaves his carry all to their own devices. But then everything turns out okay. So good.
Ooh, Nitro coming in with trying to get a sneaky play, but there was just not enough damage there before he gets into that ultimate. And he's gonna try and clear this wave out. But he might have stayed in a little too long here, as Nitro is going to pick up the kill on there and get his first solo kill of the set.
Now
Ooh,
toxic
and
blow. Getting
Vibe is
chased.
just gonna
Yeah.
get in there. He's 6-0. He's fed as a horse. He's got he can do he's
Easy
trying to
kill
do
for
whatever he
Pele
wants
here.
on the map. And Pele, and it should have been an easy kill here, but Nitro avoiding some of that damage coming in there, but Pele is gonna still try and chase him down, still thinks that there's a little bit of potential there. Ooh, but the nice little stun coming out there. And maybe, just maybe, it's coming in there. But Vibe Legion coming in, looking to slow this Pele and get rid of this problem here. But I don't think it's going to happen, but really coming in and helping Vibe secure the kill there on Bandana Dave.
Yeah, Dave just misplaced it there by not calculating in the factor that RDO does have a dash in her kit and is able to get out of it there. Chases a little too hard in the
Mhm.
end and gets punished for it. So close though to getting that kill. I mean, must have had maybe 40 health
Yeah.
to that RDO, but in the end, does not work out for him. And I like the idea of the aggression. I think it's a little too aggressive from Bandana Dave, but
Mhm.
it's a Pele. I would like to see him really start to push this early game tempo, but it's a little difficult as he's a level behind the Osiris and that RDO. Maybe could still find some success in that duo lane, but I mean he's even with their support, and that's not a great place to be if you're a jungler, especially if you're a Pele.
Yeah, and I'm gonna have to agree with you. 100% there. A little too hard. You know, he put the ray. You know, he was trying to go in there. He's trying to zoom, pick up that kill, and unfortunately, you know, there's just too much space between them, and you know, too many teammates to help out. Um, rotating onto that position there.
Yeah, I mean AFKFarmers, we saw it even in game one.
Hmm.
Their rotations have been really, really tight, and they've always had the backs of their teammates, even if they're a little late. There's always somebody there to follow up, so you can't really be lingering for too long in these as they go to siege this tier 1 tower 13
Speaking of
minutes to the game.
rotations, there are five manning this mid lane, looking to probably take 2 towers here. And see what they can do here. Thos Parker in a little bit of a tricky spot here, but he is a good Neshi. He might be able to just tank it through like he does, and they're gonna pick up 2 towers. Well, imaginary bishops on that side, on that left side there, trying to pick up a tower of their own, but they're trying to collapse in. They're trying to look for him and see if they can do it, but he is definitely gonna be out of there in time.
Yeah, they trade tier 1 in mid for tier 1 and duo, and that's I think that that's not a good trade to make. Not only because obviously people value the mid lane higher, it allows you to get more
Hmm.
pressure, but when you take the tier 1 tower in duo lane, what you do is you basically force yourself to have to push up further to get farm in
Hmm.
that lane. That makes you more exposed, and given how much success Vibe has found on this Osiris, that is not something I'd be signing up for. So hats off to End of Days for being bold and beautiful on that one. And we'll see if that works out. Maybe they can play around it. It's understandable that they'd want to trade out towers because that's just a good gold trade, and they are currently 6,000 gold behind. And we're approaching that 15-minute mark. Probably looking at one more Fury before anybody looks to take that Fire Giant. But obviously, Fire Giant's got to be in the back of your mind if you're imaginary bishops or AFKFarmers.
You know, and I agree with you 100% there. That fire giant is going to be, I guess, the next step. You know, when especially when you're ahead like this in this point of the game. But we see Nitro actually going in pretty hard here, and he is going to get Persephone ulted. And they're going to turn directly onto Vibe Legion and try and make something happen there. He's going to ult out, but this could have been a bad choice here, as maybe Nitro might be able to get out as well because they decided to turn their attention here. They're going to continue the chase on, but Bandana Dave is all alone on that left side of the map. And Nitro maybe possibly getting out as Dave gets caught out here. And this is really bad for Imaginary Bishops.
Yeah, actually, what a
What?
disgusting play. All right, I understand the ban now.
Lizardo!
I'm down for the ban. I get it. I get it, boys. That was
Dude!
what was that, man? Yo, can somebody check that man? Is he hacking? What? How
This
do you
man has
get that
hit more.
play?
This man hit more Hou triple bounces in this game than I've hit in my entire Hou playing career. And I have Hou Diamond. Like that's not a terribly short career. Like, like he's been nasty on this Hou here, and I definitely respect the the respect ban from that last game.
Yeah, a little understandable. I mean, yeah, what can you say? Blizzado looking very strong. Opting into the crit build, an
Mhm,
early wind demon. I kind of like building crit in Hoyi. I think it's
mhm,
really cheeky because basically you get to build crit and the enemy does not get to build crit, because if
mhm.
they build crit, they hit you with one crit and then for another 3 seconds they don't hit you with another crit.
Yeah.
So GG's, I guess. But I really like right now the way that AFKFarmers has sort of surrounded here in this map,
Mhm,
and I really like Nitro on this RDO. He looks
mhm.
really impressive thus far on it.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Yellow Jin in a very bad position. The Persephone all trying to do what it can to prevent that from happening, but Vibe Legion also going to dive that backline and force them out of here. Meanwhile, on the left side of the map, if you'll notice, End Days and Bandana Dave are in absolutely no position to contest this, as we see as we see them Ardio fighting them down here and zoning them off here. So they're just going to be able to grab this fire giant and get on out of here. Ooh,
Yeah, I
Dave
was
looking for
just
something.
uh,
Dave looking for something in the back, but possibly put himself in a terrible position here. He ulted directly into that wall, so he wasn't able to pick up the kill on Surgani there.
I was gonna say that I actually like the call from Days and Dave
Mm-hmm.
to instead split the map and steal the farm in the jungle because they weren't really going to be able to defend that fire giant.
Yeah.
Instead, Dave decides to not take that red buff. It looks like, and then he rotates to fire giant a little too late, and at that point, I mean, there's just no world that you walk out alive, even as
Mm-hmm.
a Pele. I think, and that was an interesting decision to say the least.
Yeah,
Um,
I
a-
think there's definitely possibility of a trade there if he doesn't ultimate the wall. Um,
well, you say that, but here I was
mm,
gonna actually bring this point up earlier. Right now, imaginary bishops, I don't think they're misplaying these team fights,
mm,
but what they are a little bit because what's happening is if you look across the board, they're just down in every single
mm,
position except for their carry, and their carry is split pushing in the left lane,
mm,
and so they don't have the damage to really be able to fight off these frontliners. I mean, there's
mm,
7,000 gold, almost 10k experience down, and
mm,
they're just letting this team run down the left lane. By the way, I don't know if you noticed that at
yeah,
all, but they just don't have the damage. And End of Days is
mm,
their only hope, and they've got to protect him for dear life because he's the only one in the same area code level wise.
mm. And maybe they'll be able to do it, but he's kind of in here alone as Vibe Legion is going to go directly onto him, and he's slowed down. Blazzato also coming in, throwing down the Nine Suns, and he is just not going to be able to live here. And this is exactly what you want if you're AFK farmers here, trying to take out the strongest player. They might be able to go for something cheeky, get an end here. They got minions, but they're going to go instead for that middle Phoenix and try and secure a little more. Nitro in a very bad position. Could he get the first death of the game? No, he's not. Thos Parker is going to get caught out for trying to, though. And it looks like AFK Farmers is regrouping here. Are they going to go for that right tower here? They are indeed
Hey
gonna.
Muffin,
Oh, never mind.
what's your favorite Scandinavian country?
I don't know any.
Finnish. Or is it your favorite
I
Scandinavian
agree.
language? Whatever.
100% agree with you here. But they are gonna try and go for this end, and it's getting a little interesting there. But they are gonna secure it and win the very first set of season 5.
Yeah, I suppose they learned a little bit from their first game and
Mm,
figured out to finish the game a little bit
yeah,
faster when they have that opportunity. I
yeah,
don't think that they needed to take the Phoenix, but I didn't
mm,
necessarily hate it because it allowed them to draw out a little bit
yeah,
of Imaginary's defenses, and then they found a few more picks, and then it was much more
mhm,
comfortable, I think, to finish that Titan. Plus, you remove a little bit of health from taking that Phoenix, so not
yeah.
too bad overall of a play. I'm really glad that they went with my favorite Scandinavian language there and finished the game.
Yeah, and once the end of days is down, who was um by far the most farmed up player on um on imaginary bishops, there wasn't really much of an obstacle in their way of ending the game. It was just kind of um there wasn't really anything there to try and stop the end.
Yeah, I mean, this is just your classic snowball scenario, and when you have picks like uh Anher, and you have picks like Pele, and you have picks like Ganesh, it makes fighting from behind so early on very difficult for you. And I think that once that started to happen, it was going to be a colossal uphill battle. And understandable that they weren't able to recover, and unfortunate that they fell behind so early.
Mhm,
But in the end, I mean, that was just a well played performance in both games by AFK Farmers.
mhm. Yeah, and it was a little rocky of a first game. There's definitely quite a few times where imaginary bishops were coming back into it, showing that they can play. But that second game was extremely clean from them, and they really went out there and put on a show.
Yeah, clean is the way to put it. They definitely played that one very clean.
All right, everybody, we are going to be taking a quick break, but don't go anywhere because we got a nice little interview from Vibe Legion himself after the break. All right, welcome everybody. You didn't have to wait long. We've got that interview coming right for you. We've got Vibe Legion, the Osiris from game 2 and the jungler um of both games coming in here for an interview, and I'm going to hand it off to my boy Mega Dinosaur to ask the questions.
Vibe, how are you feeling after that dub?
Well, I feel pretty good for the first game out of the season. I think with everything that we've had go on this team, we've had a lot of
Mm,
roster shakeups, a lot of people in and out trying to get schedules to work out. Um, Shout out Nitro. Nitro's played jungle for us in every single scrim all the way up until today, and we went solo with him. And the first game he was a little shaky, but after he got into his own, he played fantastic. And getting Blizz on his comfort pick in an ADC role, I mean, you guys saw the double triple bounce that he had to kind of seal the game for us, and we kind of just rolled from
mhm.
there. So everybody playing together and the comms were fantastic tonight.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like you guys were playing as one cohesive unit. You seemed like you were all together. You were making rotations on time. You were finding objectives. Is that something that you were looking to focus in the preseason coming in, or is it just something that sort of naturally happened?
Yeah, well, with Shadow's team, Shadow drafted a great team. I know that they've been looked at as possibly the best, if one of the best, if not the best team in the
Mm,
SDL on paper. So we really wanted to focus the objectives and try to push a lead if we got one because we know that they can come back at any time. And we saw that in the first game. We tried to push a fire and they stole it twice. And we almost threw a game where we had a giant lead. So we kind of just tried to stay together no matter what happened. Don't get down because we knew that they were going to make that push in the first game, and we stayed together and had one misplay where they went to Oni and we pushed mid, and after that it would just kind of rolled. So I felt really good about that game.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys. First of all, you look really good on that Osiris, and then the rest of your team also look good on their picks. Uh, Speaking of picks, going into game one, it seemed like you're looking for more of those meta picks, whereas you could see Imaginary kind of focus more on like a direct team composition where they had a plan. Um, eh, are you guys? Do you guys feel just better on those meta picks, or do you not feel like maybe a team composition like that, a team draft or team oriented draft, if you will, is something that you're interested in doing? Walk me through your guys' mindset going into picks and bans.
Yeah, during the picks and bans, they left an Artemis open, which we know
Mhm.
that Blizz is very comfortable with, and Gunny is super comfortable with Persephone. Going in, that's one of the gods that he wanted to try to play if we got, through the bans and everything. So we took those two, and once they left the Athena open and the Osiris open, those two gods you can't just let through and kind of not play because if you don't play them, they're going to, and you're going to get, kind of diffed just in the draft itself. So we took those, and TSN played King Arthur as one of those picks, just kind of bully, which it didn't work out at the very beginning. But once we got him on the second draft, we
Mhm.
went more with comfortable. I felt good on the Osiris that game. He felt good at playing RDO throughout the scrims. Blizz got his Ho Yi, and then Merlin was also a comfortable pick for Gunny. So everybody played a comfort pick, and I think the second game went better than the first, actually, just because we played everything that we are comfortable with, and we've played a while.
mhm.
Yeah, I agree, and I think sometimes at this level, comfort certainly is king. Well, I think that's gonna end the interview section here. Is there anything else you want to say before you leave us, Vibe?
I just want to shout out my coaches. Two in particular is Reporter Support and Son of Two Dog. They've been with us for most of our scrims and really helped us out in getting, the comfortability in our roles since we've been switching everywhere, and just the team in general. We pride ourselves on staying up, staying positive. There was no negativity in comms at all today, even when we lost fire or anything like that. So I really appreciate it. And I think we're gonna be good from the rest of the way out. So.
Yeah, I certainly expect great things from you going forward, guys. Well, thanks for joining us, Vibe, for this interview.
No
And
problem.
I think that's going to wrap up the broadcast, unless Muffin has anything he wants to say.
No, I think you covered everything I was looking to ask there. So like my man Mega Dinosaur said.